Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing current players. I'm one of your two hosts tonight, Ryan Stacy, joined by Derek Kubicek. As a reminder, our third co-host, Josh Wessler, is in China competing on Survivor China 2. Is that true or is that not true? Stay tuned. Derek, how you doing?
Well, at best, it's 1.5 consultants tonight. For those of you out there, I'm recovering from an upper respiratory bronchial infection. So if I sound a little goofy, like a little hoarse, or like I'm sucking on a lozenge, one, it's not a lozenge. It is a toxic waste, hazardously sour candy, because that was all that Ryan had on hand for me tonight to try and stifle the cough. But you know what? Got to show out for the people, and there's no way on this earth I'm going to let Ryan share his opinions unchecked, unbalanced.
Nice Lord of the Rings reference.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, forgive me for not having cough drops. Forgive me. I wasn't expecting, I have to, do you need, a hot water bottle too, Derek?
Warm milk and a back rub.
Yep.
I need to be burped every 15 minutes after a feeding.
So, yeah, I had a literal barrel of toxic waste candy. It looks like a barrel of toxic waste, from, the 80s. I have the candy line around because I like sour candies. And so that's what Derek is using to get through this podcast tonight. So, yeah, we got Josh in China. Derek is dying. And so I'm hoping to wear Derek's voice out quickly here so I can just take over and just spew my completely correct nonsense nonstop.
Again, unchecked, unchallenged. Killing at will.
Yes. Episode 5 is what we're talking about tonight of Survivor 47, The Scales Be Tippin'. A pretty average episode until the votes. The blind side was delicious tonight.
Yeah, the only other thing worth mentioning, I mean, there's plenty to talk about, and I'm excited to talk about it, but we are on the verge of Mount Rushmoring another tribe as most dysfunctional of all time.
Yep.
And I love it, and I'm here for that too.
Yep.
Because it is messy in the best of times, and hilarious in the worst of times.
We all know what we're talking about. It's Lavo. That's not even a spoiler, but my quote of the episode from Kyle, that tribe's a mess.
And after one summit, but I don't really have anything else. I'm ready to get into spoilers when you are, man.
Well, let's do this. Spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1. We're going to lose Annika tonight, and boy, oh boy, is it amazing. What a top tier blindside. And
I like that. I don't know if this is just a product of new Survivor, modern Survivor, and players maybe being given a little more latitude with how they react after getting voted out. But this is the best one since Kelly Nalbandian, which is famously, what the hell, guys? And she claims she doesn't even remember doing that. But they really hold on Annika.
Yep. For
10 seconds.
It's
10
phenomenal.
Painstaking, glorious seconds. Really? Who's going to own this? I'm sorry, you got voted out. You don't get to ask questions.
Yep. But it was such good TV that I'm sure the producer's like, let her stand.
Let it go. Let her do it.
Excellent. Love it. More of these, please. Everyone, when you get blindsided, big reactions, please and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're going to lose Annika tonight. It was fun. The rest of the episode was pretty average Survivor. Luckily, average Survivor is great.
Yes.
But yeah, pretty straightforward otherwise. Should we jump into the episode proper?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start on the Lavo tribe. Rome is irritated that Teeny didn't give him the heads up. Fair. That's fair. And Teeny feels like they're on the bottom. So Genevieve is going to talk to Teeny and say they are the top two because Genevieve does want to work with Teeny. Also wants to work with Rome. So Lavo's just a mess. Teeny's going to apologize to Rome about everything. Say it was all Keyshawn's fault. And they hug it out, but Rome doesn't trust Teeny anymore. Fair.
I think this is reasonable from all parties. One thing I'm sure that was mentioned is something Teeny mentioned to Genevieve. This wasn't my idea.
Yep.
I came back from Mystery Adventure Island and was essentially told what to do.
Yep.
Now, the part that you leave out telling to Rome is how excited you were when Keyshawn presented you with the plan. We're all about the Boston Rob fist bump, say yes, but you can't really hide that kind of enthusiasm.
Yep.
It's more like if you really have this sidebar, get it because she's a corporate lawyer, pull Genevieve aside for a sidebar later. How do you feel about Keyshawn's plan? I think that would have made Genevieve feel more at ease moving forward with Teeny. But for all intents and purposes in the confessionals we got tonight, Genevieve's number one is Teeny.
Yeah, it seems like it changes from Rome to Teeny over the course of this episode.
Which
Josh is out there somewhere. He probably hasn't watched the episode yet. Josh is blowing a gasket right about now.
It's so odd because I know it's not canon, but one of the things that came out in Keyshawn's post-game interview is that there was an alliance between Genevieve, Keyshawn, and Teeny.
Yep.
Now, not canon. We can't put stock into that.
I believe it. I'm seeing that on the show.
And we've seen something about it. But we've also seen someone that they were closer to, Asia, throw out Genevieve's name. And there was a willingness to go in that direction, if not for an idol and a steal a vote. That makes it really hard for me and Ryan to actually look at what happened last week with Genevieve and Gage, what should have happened. I still stand by what we said, that for Genevieve's game, it was the right thing to go after Keyshawn last week. But saying that Teeny is your number one now is a very weird conclusion to hear the next episode. I just want to point out, like, this is me being Josh.
Yep.
This is a weird thing to hear.
Yeah, and, maybe it was a case of Rome was her number one ally, but Rome has become unstable. Rome is falling. And Genevieve realizes, okay, I need a different number one ally. It could be that simple.
And it might be, and I'm always willing to let people grow and change and adapt. That's good. But we now have 4 legitimate free agents on this tribe.
And it's wonderful. And
it is glorious. And it's only going to get somehow worse this episode, which is even more hilarious.
This tribe is unstable as an active volcano.
Yes.
Lava.
Rome, more like Pompeii.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent in everything I do in podcasting, in life, the horror movie podcast, this podcast. When you get more information, you got to do the best you can with the information you have. When you gather more information and get more information, change your mind if that information prompts you to do so. Like, do the best you can with the information you have and keep growing and changing when you get more information. That is like a mantra I live by, and I'd encourage everyone else to live by that mantra. And so that is the case here with Genevieve. Good for her.
I want to throw this out there because, by the way, Ryan is like one of my best friends, right? He is not lying when he says he lives by this. Ryan does not change his mind about almost anything unless he is presented with new information. Yep. But for us humans out there, because Ryan has got like a superpower for keeping all of this straight in his head, you can change your mind when you get more information, but you can also change your mind if your values or your sets of beliefs change as well.
But I think those don't change unless you get new information.
I don't know about that. I think sometimes just time set in, you can call that new information, but maybe the factors don't change and your feelings about the facts that are available or about the information available change. Where it gets tricky is you need to acknowledge that change in your belief, and any other things that might change with it, you need to make sure you're consistent.
Yep.
It's a trickier thing to change.
I call feelings information.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough.
It's if the human is a computer, feelings count as information.
Yeah, it's not, I guess it's not about evidence necessarily, like exterior evidence. It can be that sort of internal input.
Now,
that
I prefer
recycling.
evidence, but sometimes it is just how you feel about a certain thing. So yeah, I tend not to change my mind unless I'm presenting with an argument I haven't heard before, or just generally giving new information.
Yes,
those are the only 2 things that can really make me change my mind. Because I'll be honest, I probably considered it already. Like I think about things a lot, and so I consider these things. So you really have to present something new to me, whether it be new information or just a brand new argument. But yes, always change your mind when you get good new information. Like, be willing to do that. And then that includes in Survivor, change your relationships when you're given new information. That's one of the things I probably stress most if you're going to play Survivor. Be willing to change.
No, I mean, even just existing in life, this is a good practice. This is one of the microcosms of Survivor.
Yes.
New information, new sets of beliefs, acknowledge it, act on it.
Yep. Agreed completely. So we're going to get to the reward challenge, and they're going to do something fun here that I like. They're going to do just 2 teams, and it's a random draw between all 3 tribes. The winning team of 7 gets to go to the Survivor Sanctuary, where good things happen, and they get basically a Survivor Summit. You win a summit, which is really cool. I like this idea a lot. It's just like a different way of doing the Survivor Summit. Works for me.
Yep, more commingling, more cross-pollination. I think Gabe said it exactly like that. Yep. Was it Gabe?
I can't remember.
Whoever said it. We like when this kind of thing can happen, especially when it's temporary and everybody has to go home afterward. I think that's funny.
And then the people who lose just go home and get nothing.
Yes.
So this is more fun than a standard reward challenge for me, so I dig this. The winning group is Teeny, Sam and Rachel, Kyle, Caroline, Sue, and Tiana. So yeah, a lot of Tuku here.
Yeah, and only one Lavo.
Yep. So Gabe's going to have to go back to his camp alone.
With nothing to find.
Nothing to find. The idol's gone.
Because Sue's got it.
So they're all going to go on reward together. Teeny can pretty easily say, yeah, I was on the bottom and left out of the vote. Please don't vote me out next. In fact, I could join you because I'm a free agent. Easy for Teeny. This is great. But what gets brought up is everyone still thinks Sam and Sierra are running everything over on Gata. So Sam doesn't like that. But Tuku is the group that is the most interesting here, because Tiana's going to tell everyone here that Gabe is causing problems looking for idols. She and Kyle are going to tell everyone that Gabe played an idol and really just throw Gabe right under the bus. Sue, who is Gabe's number one, does not like this. So she's pissed that, they're throwing Gabe under the bus this much.
It's so interesting. I've never, at least not that I can remember, seen a Survivor edit where you get to see someone else reacting to their ally's game being talked about. I feel it's happened every episode so far where someone is talking about Gabe to Sue, and we get cut to Sue's reaction about how Gabe's game is perceived. Mm-hmm. We don't know a single solitary thing about Sue's game other than she's playing with Gabe.
Yep.
And then we have Gabe's game, and then how people feel about Gabe. I'm trying to figure out if this is going to pay dividends down the road, or if it's just more to the point that Sue is riding Gabe's coattails. Is this a hint that Sue makes it to Final Tribal Council without Gabe, and when she tries to talk about her game, it wasn't yours?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's just so fascinating to see this edit hammer this home week after week after week. I don't know if you have the same feeling as me on that.
Yeah, it's interesting where this is one of the major storylines of the season. Where is the Sue-Gabe alliance going to end up?
Yeah, or it could be, Sue, you've been warned. You've been warned time after time that people see Gabe and they don't see you.
Maybe Sue will take out Gabe.
It could be.
Could be that.
It could be any number of things. I just want to speak this out into the podcast world, and hopefully other people have noticed it too.
And then I also don't like that Caroline reveals to a couple of the other people that she's really close with the women, and the women are going to kind of run things there. I don't like that you said that at a summit. I feel like that is too much information. You could say you get along with them, but the way she said it makes it like they're all in an alliance together, and I don't like that from her. And she told that to, I think, Teeny and Rachel. And yeah, like maybe you could recruit some people that way, but I just don't like it.
And if there's one thing that you can count on men to do, it's to work together long enough to make sure that women can't work together.
Yeah.
They'll completely fracture apart after that and be useless as a men's alliance.
Yes.
But all they need is, I mean, we just covered Cambodia on Second Chances. They just need a few people who are not interested in the women's alliance because they know that in the alliance of women that they aren't, the top of the top, to go with the men, and then it completely crumbles that you can't talk about that kind of thing too early. This is coming from a guy. I shouldn't be giving you this advice. However you identify, if it's as a woman, this is dangerous. You are treading on very thin ice.
Yeah, so I don't love that for Caroline. I think that will end up blowing up in her face.
I can see it.
Over on Lavo, Rome is going to try and do damage control, but it's really just going to be kind of a paranoid meltdown, is how it's perceived. He's going to talk to Sol first and tell Sol about the amulet that Teeny got. And he also tells Sol that Genevieve wants to take him out next, Sol, not Teeny. Rome's then going to go to Genevieve and say he wants Teeny out next, not Sol. And Genevieve is like, I kind of want to work with Teeny. And so this leads to Genevieve and Sol getting together and comparing notes, and basically Rome had told Sol Genevieve doesn't want to work with you, which is true, but Genevieve is going to lie about that and say, like, that's not true, and Rome said you want to take out Teeny next. It's nice from Genevieve, but basically the conversation is like, Rome's giving us conflicting information, he's kind of unstable, neither of us really trust him anymore, and this is coming from Genevieve's, Rome's closest allies. That's not good for Rome.
So Lavo becomes even more of a hot mess than they were before. And I think that Genevieve did a really good job of explaining Rome is treating this reward challenge loss like an immunity challenge loss. This is just a good reminder to the people. This is bad.
Yeah.
That you don't pre-plan this kind of stuff, especially on a tribe with 4 free agents. Maybe if you're Rome, you can go talk to Genevieve about this stuff, and you can strategize with Teeny gone and Sol off doing Sol things, whatever those are in the moment. Figuring out what you guys want to do as a pair if you guys are still, in fact, number ones. And from Rome's perspective, you are. You can do that. But going to Sol and spinning this whole other story about what Genevieve wants, putting words in her mouth, Rome's mouth is writing too many checks that his booty can't cash. And it's absolutely blowing up in his face.
Yes.
So you said that he's trying to douse these fires with gasoline. Rome continues to burn.
Over in Gata, Sierra and Yannicka just let the chickens go. They're going to catch them again later, but why did they just let the chickens go? And they hope the eggs would hatch, like they would lay eggs just out in the jungle more?
It's unclear, but a reminder to everyone that Tai Trang, he gave us wisdom during Mark's season. You can tie the chickens' legs together and let them roam free, and they won't run away because they can't cooperate.
Yep.
So
and maybe so if you're gonna do that, try that.
Yeah, tie their legs together, and then check for eggs or whatever.
And if they aren't laying legs, just kill the goddamn chickens. Seriously. We'll get more into this later. Teeny's going to get back to camp on Lavo, and Sol, Genevieve, and Teeny have a nice bonding session. The three of them are like, Rome's losing his marbles. Maybe the three of us should work together and take him out.
So it's time to play a little game I like to call retrospective baseball. I want to revisit Asia, because there was always the possibility, and I do believe I brought this up when Asia was voted out, there is a chance that Asia, standing on business, was the right move in terms of keeping her three together, which at the time was Keyshawn, Teeny, Asia. Sol was also included in this as someone that they wanted to work with. If we all recall, Sol was Rome's target at the time.
Yep.
So, we are 4 free agents deep. Everyone has realized they can't trust Rome, and they also realize that they can't really trust each other. I mean, in the best of times, this is a Kasaya voting block of 3 after Rome is gone. If Rome is gone, I don't even know, just ashes remain. I don't know. But I want to revisit Asia because I think she was right. I think they needed to either go for Genevieve or Rome in some world. It would have been Genevieve, or just let Sol go. And I think because of the hardware that Rome had at the time, let Sol go. I know you want to bring a solid 4, but retrospectively, it was the right move, absolutely, to go all in against Sol, let Rome burn one of his 2 advantages, and then come together as a 3. Or if you were, in fact, if Genevieve and Keyshawn and Teeny were in some kind of trio, maybe you all team up against Rome after that, because a steal a vote doesn't matter if it's 4 versus 1.
Possibly, yeah.
So Asia was right, but sometimes you need to pray for time, and Sol should have gone first.
She needed to be willing to turn on Sol, and you can only do so much against hardware.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted to bring that up, so I'm not changing our mind that she went about it wrong and stood on business too strong, but we could have seen this coming. The strongest group of 3 has been decimated, and now we are left with nothing.
4 free agents. Sue's going to tell Gabe that Tiana threw him under the bus. And Caroline wants to try and patch things up and get the Tuku group working together as a cohesive 5 going into the merge. So she tells Tiana to go to Gabe and apologize. She does, and she's going to say, I just told Rachel and Teeny that you played in Idol. Gabe's going to go to Sue and be like, is that true? And Sue's like, no, she told that to everybody and more. So yeah, there's that bridge is burned, I think.
Yeah, it was already burned anyway. I don't know that anything Tiana said to Gabe would have made this better. I like the attempt from Caroline because it doesn't seem like Gabe was too perturbed by this. I think he appreciates the theory of a 5.
Yep. But
at the same time, if you're going in Tuku 5, didn't we just see it last season? I can't remember the name of the Green Tribe, but everyone was scared of that 5 with Ben and Maria and Charlie. Everyone was scared of that 5, and we said rightfully so because they were the most solid 5.
They were the most solid group.
If you have to have one... Siga, the Siga 5. So if you have to lead, 1 lamb to slaughter, I think Gabe is basically saying, yeah, that's Tiana.
Yep.
If you guys really want a Tuku to go home because we didn't lose much in the pre-merge, take her.
Yep.
Take her. We don't want her. We don't own her.
Yeah. I think he's definitely willing to drop her. Immunity challenge. Gata is going to bring their chickens with, and they want to trade the chickens for eggs. They ask for 24, 6 per chicken. Jeff says 5 per chicken, 15, and they end up negotiating to 18. In a very nice negotiation.
8 per chicken, 5 per chicken,
oh, sorry.
6 per chicken.
8 per chicken, 5 per chicken, 6 per chicken.
Yes,
you're right. Sorry. 24 to 15 to 18. So they end up getting 18 eggs for the 3 chickens, which I think is a pretty good deal if they're not going to slaughter the chickens. So good for Gata.
Yeah, I can't help but think about the calories.
Yep.
And I don't think that calorically this makes sense.
But if you're not going to slaughter the chickens.
But I mean, who had the problem with slaughtering the chickens?
Sierra, for sure. I don't know if anybody else did.
Was it Sierra?
Yeah.
Okay. If it was Sierra, then I guess if it's someone you're planning on working with long term that's in a good position on the tribe, fine.
Yeah, if you're someone who everyone needs your vote, then you can get away with not wanting to slaughter the chickens, but just kill the damn chickens.
We're going on Survivor. You have to expect chickens might come up.
Just kill the damn chickens. Don't worry about it. Kill, eat, and enjoy.
It's Survivor, not Morality Ivor.
Yeah, and then when you win the game, you can donate some of your money to a cause for animal rights.
Or adopt a chicken.
Or adopt a chicken. Yeah, I don't know. But they get 18 eggs, which is, I think, a pretty good deal. They're not going to be able to cook them because they're going to lose the challenge.
Which is hilarious.
What is really great is Jeff starts explaining the challenge rules, and we actually have to stop because one of the chickens pecks Sierra, and so Jeff just starts all over again. Fantastic editing.
This reminded me of what is that? It's like that montage sequence in Ant-Man when they just keep explaining the more harebrained idea, where it's like, and then bum 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 bum, and then music cuts. And they have to rewind and they have to start again.
Yep.
Great choice, editors. There's going to be two great editing sequences, or two great editing choices in this challenge, and that's one of them.
So Tuco's going to win, and Lavo's going to get second by seconds. And that's because Gata did great in most of the challenge. However, the very first obstacle was one of them had to saw through a rope. Andy saw on the rope. He was using the wrong end of the saw, the non-saw end, to cut.
And the editing here was the other great moment where they cut the music, and then when he flipped the saw over and he started sawing, then the music starts again. Oh, it was absolutely glorious.
So if Andy hadn't screwed up on the saw, they would have won.
And as long as we're playing, this game of retrospective baseball this episode, remember when we voted out John because Andy was going to be more physically beneficial in challenges?
How's that working out for him?
Straight from the horse's mouth after this challenge. You know what? I'm not very good at challenges. This is nothing against Andy. It's just funny.
Yep. So Gata's going to tribal council. Annika does not have a vote. So we have 4 people voting. It is Sam and Andy on one side, Rachel on the other, and Sierra's the big question mark. What are Sam and Sierra going to do? Or who's going to convince one or the other? So Sam and Andy, they want to target Annika. Rachel and Annika, even though Annika doesn't have a vote, they want to target Andy. So it's kind of... Sierra would have been a swing if it wasn't for Annika, but now that there's only 4 votes, it is really Sierra and Sam's decision. So basically it's just the two of them discussing things, and apparently Sam is going to be the one to convince Sierra to join his side. Because at Tribal Council, Sam doesn't play his idol. Sam is an idol that this is the last time he can play it. He does not play it. And it's going to be 3 votes for Annika, 1 vote for Andy. So clearly Sam convinced Sierra to go with him and knock out Annika. I think this is terrible for Sierra.
Oh my goodness. As of last week, I was saying that Sierra needs to jump ship because of the perception that her and Sam are together. And by the way, we only received further confirmation of that at the summit today. And Sam heard it. Sam knows that everybody thinks that they're working together. I don't know how much pre-damage control that Sierra can do, because one final thing that I thought about on this vote is Rachel, right? She's the one left out. What can Sierra say to Rachel now to keep this from going completely topsy-turvy? Sam came to me last minute and said him and Andy are strong on Annika. Why don't you loop in Rachel? Because Annika doesn't even have a shot in the dark she can play to defend herself.
Yep.
If Sierra chose to go with the guys, I think she needed to tell Rachel tonight.
Yep, I agree.
Because then Annika, she would have been a sitting duck. But that's what happens when you lose your vote.
I just would have liked to see Sierra fight for it more, because this is such a detrimental move to her game. It's bad.
The optics are bad, especially if Rachel gets to the other tribes first and explains what happened.
Yeah, I think Sierra should have insisted, and then Sam has the opportunity. He could play his own idol on Andy and knock Annika out of the game that way. So I think if everyone had played at their best, I think that's how it should have gone. So did the right person go home? Yes. Annika's the right person to go home, but it should have been due to an idol play. So I think Sam should have played his Andy on his Andy. He should have played his Andy on idol. He should have played his idol on Andy to knock Annika out of the game. I think that would have been the best case scenario, or if everyone played optimally. But I really think this is just terrible for Sierra, for her to cave here.
Well, and one big bugaboo is Sam does not play his idol.
Yes.
Rachel still knows he had one.
Yep.
She can out this to Andy and sow some discord there.
Yep.
Because Andy obviously told Sam, someone got this. And I don't know where it went. Sam had it the whole time. That's a pretty big omission. I think your proposition here is probably the ideal one, because then it's like, yes, I had the idol, but Andy, I had your back so much that when there was uncertainty, I was willing to play my secret on you. And Andy, being someone who I think appreciates the strategic side of the game, would understand why Sam wouldn't share the information with him, especially given where he was in the tribe at the time. but would really appreciate that double down gesture of the idol getting played. It villainizes Sam and not Sierra to Rachel. Maybe they can move together as like a group of four where it's like, hey, circumstances forced us to come together and vote somebody out. There's no more idols, but like apart we fall, together maybe we can do something. So I will see how this plays out. I don't think it was optimal. I agree with you. I do think the right person went home.
Yeah. I think it was horrible for Sierra, but I think it's great for Sam and Andy. But yeah, there goes Annika. So we don't have Josh tonight's or social media stuff we're not going to be able to do tonight just because he hasn't even watched the episode, I'm sure.
We'll just pretend to be the voice of Twitter.
Yep.
I think Twitter would say the wrong person went home.
Yeah, I'm sure Twitter wanted Andy to go.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
That's just my prediction. Not to put words in Twitter's mouth. They've proven me wrong about their opinion several times.
Now, I've heard of the many episodes we've done on the podcast.
Twitter has never proven me wrong.
Yep.
But it's proven me wrong about it. Did I predict the zeitgeist correctly? Yes or no?
So let's get into best and worst player of the episode. For best, I have Sam. I think the vote went really well for Sam. He got his way. He convinced Sierra to go along with him. Without having to play the idol and possibly cause a grip between him and Sierra. So, yeah, Sam controlled the vote, got his way, so I'm going to give my best player to Sam.
I gave it to Andy because I think this is the fruit of many days' labors. You've been trying to build this trust with Sam, and just because Gata hasn't had to go back to Tribal in a while, he never got complacent, and he's really turned down the moments of capriciousness. He's become more steady, and even though he's not good in challenges, he's proven to be valuable enough to someone who is in control and has control to keep him along. And as a spoiler alert, we are going to be moving around some of my other designations as well because of this development from Andy.
Okay. I wonder what John is going to think at Ponderosa when Annika shows up instead of Andy.
Honestly, I just hope, respect. I don't know how he did it, but respect.
Derek, who's our worst player of the episode?
I'm going to give it to Rome. After last episode, there was a chance for him and Genevieve to move together, at least as a strong duo on a highly fractured tribe. And on a highly fractured tribe, if you're moving into a merge type situation, there is a decent ability for you to maneuver as a duo to take out the other two free agents that might just be causing problems, or, you can sacrifice them. Hey, you don't have to worry about us two being enemies if you help us take out Teeny, if you help us take out Soul. And wouldn't you rather work with a tried and true duo, one of them being Rome, than trying to deal with all of these different harebrained schemes working together? But he managed to get his own number one to completely turn on him in the span of an episode. And Teeny, who could have very well ended up on the bottom, by really nothing of their doing, finds themselves kind of safe.
Yeah.
If I know Mergatory is coming, but if it wasn't, Genevieve wants to work with Teeny, and I think Soul more than Rome. Soul doesn't want to work with Rome. Teeny hasn't wanted to work with Rome ever. How does he manage to make everybody not want to work with him?
Yep. I have him as my dishonorable mention, but I am going to give my worst player to Sierra just because I really don't like this for her. I think this is just I think her game is going to implode from this move.
If so, for mine, it was swapped where she got my dishonorable mention.
They're the two worst.
Yes, I do agree with that.
All right, so let's get into who's going next. Since we're doing Mergatory or whatever we're doing next week, we're dropping from 3 to 1 here. Just one person who you think is going to go home. I have no freaking clue because who has any freaking clue? I'm just going to go pick someone who's drawn a lot of heat and has no protection, and that's Rome.
I also picked Rome for exactly that reason. And I can actually see Lavo actively campaigning. Take out Rome.
Yep.
He's going to find this Mergatory idol. He's going to be loud. He's going to be noisy. He's going to wreck your game. He is very likely already ruined ours. This is not how we foresaw our pre-merge going.
I can absolutely see. If anyone's whole tribe is going to turn on them, it's Rome and Lavo.
Yes.
Everyone else has at least an ally who might go up to bat for them.
Yes.
On that same note, spoilers, let's get into who can't win this game.
Yep.
Starting next week, we're going to add to 2. We're going to go up to 2 next week.
Once Mergatory is over, because we technically don't know what's happening yet.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
But we're gonna stick with 1.
We're going to stick with 1 for now. That'll probably change, if not next week, the week after that.
Yes.
So, Derek, who's the one and only person who can't win this game?
Well, it's been Andy to this point, but we finally saw Andy with lines in the sand make genuine traction. Annika went home because at least one person decided to go to bat for him. And if one person is willing to go to bat for him now, that is potentially one vote that might come his way for a winner. And if he can get one vote, he can get more. I'm taking Andy off the list, and it's Rome with a lot of O's.
Yep.
I have to tip my cap to Andy. He needed to do something to get off of this list. And Rome has been just in the batter's box.
Yep.
Swinging away. It's your time to shine, buddy. You're at the plate.
A lot of baseball tonight. You're not even a baseball guy.
I'm not a baseball fan. It's just making sense.
Yeah, I got Rome there as well. That hasn't changed. Oof. That's all I can say is oof.
But on that note, we're going to revisit Derek's Stick a Fork in 'em, my special segment just for me.
Rome and Andy and Annika.
So Annika was there.
So you called your shot?
Annika no longer, so I have been proven right on my Stick a Fork on Annika. I only add someone if I feel that they've done enough to warrant a spot, and I am adding one new name tonight, and that new name is Tiana.
Okay.
She has done enough tonight for me to say you don't have a good grip on what's going on in this game. You're moving into a mergatory situation now where the people who have talked to you know you as someone who's just kind of throwing people under the bus and not really in a power position on your tribe. And your tribe, which I believe is either the largest or tied for the largest remaining.
Yep. They're the largest.
Does not trust you. Maybe Kyle.
Yeah, maybe Kyle.
Maybe Kyle. But that might be a marriage of convenience rather than a marriage of love.
Yeah, I think they just like each other. Neither of them are very good at the game.
You're right. So I'm adding Tiana as a stick a fork in them. That's nothing against Tiana as a person. I just think wrong group of people, wrong game, wrong season. She cannot win.
Okay. Last thing I'm going to do here is checking in our survivor pool. We all made it. Josh had Andy?
Yes, he picked Andy.
Yeah, I believe Josh had Andy.
Because we checked on it after the episode, and I was like, ooh, he was in danger.
Yep, he was in danger. Yeah, Josh had Andy. Who did you have in the pool last week?
I picked Kyle.
And I had Teeny. No, I had Sue, because Sue had the idol. So, going into Mergatory, absolute chaos. Well, one of us will probably go home here. Who knows? I'll go first with my survivor pool pick. There's no one with any hardware that helps them. We have 3 people with the amulets, but at this point, that hurts them. I wasn't going to pick any of them, just because the amulet is such a, they could go easily. So I wanted to stay away from them, and nobody else has anything that will help them that I can pick. So who is the safest person? I don't see anyone going after. Genevieve is my pick for the survivor pool.
I'm going to stick on the same tribe, and I'm going to pick someone who I think is perhaps in a little bit more danger than Genevieve. Obviously, I've already picked Rome, and thank goodness for that, but I don't know how much time I'll have to pick Soul with a decent amount of confidence that I'll be okay. I'm picking Soul because he is very good at these challenges, at least generally speaking, and I think there's a decent chance, if we're doing Mergatory, that his team will earn their way to safety, and if not, if he is up for a vote, I just think that there's enough bad blood between other people that Soul will not be the primary target.
Okay.
So I'm picking Soul tonight. We will get back to you guys on Josh's pick, but we'll just plug this now. Anyone who has their picks, keep messaging us on Twitter, on Spotify, on Instagram, or wherever you've been sending us your picks. Josh has a big old fancy spreadsheet that he's using to keep track, and I do believe you already mentioned it, but I think everyone was still in from last week.
Everyone survived. Nobody Annika, who's been playing along with us.
So no wall of shame.
No wall of shame. Everyone's still alive. And good for us.
Good for us. I'm guessing we're going to start losing a few here.
I think so. And then when it comes to Josh's picks, he'll post them when he can. Again, he's in China. I don't know what the situation is for watching the episode for him.
I don't even think he can watch unless he uses a VPN.
Yeah, I really don't know.
And he doesn't want to use anything that might get him into trouble while he's in China.
Yep.
So he might just be waiting until he is back.
And, maybe what he can do is read a recap of the episode if he can't watch. I'm sure he can get access to that, maybe.
And he might watch it on the plane ride back.
Yeah, I don't know, but he's going to be gone for another week. That's the problem. He's going to miss the next episode as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what Josh is going to do here, so we'll figure it out, and you'll figure it out along with us.
We are spitballing it, people.
Yeah, don't know. That's just what happens when people got to travel for work.
Yep.
What do you do?
Usually when he travels for work, he's here with us.
He's traveling to Fargo, not China.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we'll see. Unknown at this point. All right, that's the episode. Excited for the Mergatory thing, whatever happens next week. We'll see what happens. It should be chaotic and fun. Hopefully not too dumb.
We'll see. So far, the twists this season haven't been too bad.
Yeah.
My big gripe has been the forced pull out of the bag.
Don't love that.
Don't love that, but if that's the only thing that I'm really hating, It's not too bad. It did cost Annika her game, though. So add her to the pool of players that are a little bit production screwed that I wouldn't mind seeing play again.
Sure. That could be interesting. All right. Social media.
Well, I'm going to pretend to be Josh here. I care most about Spotify, so engage with us on Spotify, but also there is Threads, there's Instagram. I think we have a Facebook. We probably are most active on our Twitter. So reach out to us at any of those places with any questions about this or any of the episodes or any of the seasons anytime. If YouTube, obviously we won't have a video up for this episode because the video is Josh's darling.
It'll be a YouTube episode, but audio only.
Yes, it'll be an audio only YouTube episode. And then if you are active in the Reddit community, thanks again for the shout outs. I think I saw another one on Reddit from this week. So appreciate that. But if you have a friend who loves Survivor, again, just let them know that we're out there and we try to be your friends who love Survivor as much as you do. So thanks again. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, a little shorter episode tonight, but we're down a person and Derek is sick.
We've done all we can do.
Yeah, anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good
night.